Good evening, distinguished guests and esteemed colleagues, family and friends. Firstly, can we get a round of applause for that wonderful session we had outside there? And they were led by the roaring iron rhythm that is led by Ajnish Mohip. They are also sponsored by Qualitech. Firstly, I'm Srinivas Mohip, your MC for the afternoon. I am also the first cousin of Jayashree and Brian. It is both an honor and privilege to welcome you to this special occasion, the official launch of Decolonizing the Trinidadian Mind, the latest literary contribution by none other than award-winning author and poet, Brian Sankar Singh. Tonight, we gather not just to celebrate a book, but to engage with an idea, a bold and necessary conversation about our history, our identity, and our future. Brian Sankar Singh, with his unique lenses as both an insider and an observer, takes us on a journey through Trinidad's colonial past and its enduring impact on our present. His work challenges us to reflect, to question, and ultimately to reclaim the narrative that shapes our society. This book is different because it blends poetry and prose to tell the story. While historical facts are critical, poetry allows us to truly connect with the past, to feel what our Afro and Indo-Trinidadian ancestors endured. By understanding history, we empower ourselves to move forward together. We are launching this book at a time when there are deep divisions, religious, political, and economic, are shaping the world all over. That is why this conversation is so important. Decolonizing the Trinidad Mind is more than a book. It is an invitation to rediscover our shared past and redefine our collective future. As we move through this evening's program, you will hear from voices inspired by Brian's work, gain insights from the author himself, and experience performances that celebrate the fusion of our diverse cultural heritage. So without further ado, let us begin this celebration of knowledge, history, and the power of the written word. This evening, we bring to you a dance performance set in the 1970s, a time when Indian culture became more mainstream in Trinidad and Tobago, thanks to the influence of the Indian cinema. Baby Susan is a household name to all of us, a name synonymous with Indian dance in our country. She takes the stage to perform Inhi Lagoni from the film Pakiza. She won the Masana Bahar competition in the early 70s, making our Indo-Trinidad community even prouder of its cultural heritage. The song tells the story of a girl who declares, "They have taken my veil, but their gaze cannot tarnish my beauty and innocence." It is a powerful statement about resilience, dignity, and cultural pride. Please welcome Ms. Susan Mohip.
इन्हीं लोगों ने ले ली ना दुपट्टा मेरा।
Thank you, Susan Moab, for that beautiful and meaningful performance. Our featured speaker this evening is Dr. Sharda Maharaj Ramjatan, PhD, an accomplished educator and leader in the field of secondary education. With over 2 decades of experience in teaching, administration, and educational research, she has played a pivotal role in shaping the future of countless students. She currently serves as the principal of Parvati Girls Hindu College, where she is dedicated to fostering both academic excellence and holistic student development. Dr. Maharaj Ramjatan holds a PhD in education from the University of Leicester, UK, where her research focuses on the transition of teachers into leadership roles in secondary schools in Trinidad. She also holds a Master in Education, MED, from the University of Sheffield, a post-graduation diploma in education, and a Bachelor of Arts in History and English from the University of the West Indies. She's an active member of BELMAS, AERA, and the Caribbean Educators Network, and continues to engage in educational research and leadership training. Her passion lies in inspiring and empowering students, teachers, and school leaders to reach their fullest potential. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Sharda Maharaj Ramjatan.
Thank you, Mr. Muhib. Let me say congratulations to Mr. Brian Sankasing. Well done. I had an opportunity outside to look at some of your other writings and some of the other books, and I must say that you really have captured a lot, not being in Trinidad, but dedicating your time, your service to really capture and to retain some of the discussions and conversations of our history of Trinidad and Tobago. So kudos to you, very well done. I recognize his wife Jaishri, who is with him as well, and this is your daughter. So let's give them a round of applause. Good evening, friends. I know everybody here are friends and family, and I say welcome. I also want to thank the Master of Ceremonies, Mr. Muhib, for that wonderful introduction. I'm humbled by your kind words. When Mr. Sankasing asked me to take a look at, consider speaking here, I said, but this is out of my league. Yes, my background is history, but then when I started that brief conversation with him, I started to really understand there are so many similarities in the things that in his thinking and in my practice that we could have meshed together, and I could actually come here and just share a little bit of insights into my position in education as a historian at one point in time and the work that I do. Now, my focus is going to be on education, and you would understand why in a short while, because I believe that education is the one unifying force, that one mechanism and that one tool that could eradicate any form of divisions once we understand it and we conceptualize with it and we internalize it and not look at it as a theoretical sort of stance for qualifications purposes only. So through the genre of poetry and prose, Mr. Sankasing presents a resolute and insightful view of the historical and psychological impact of colonial rule in Trinidad and Tobago through an examination of the deep-seated remnants of divisions and tensions before Afro and Indo-Trinidadians. The purposeful message which permeated through Decolonizing the Trinidadian Mind is one which encourages introspection among the people of this country to use our history, our struggles, religion, and racial identities and racial identities as a unifying force instead of a divisive weapon. To recognize the beauty in diversity and to live by our watchwords, here every creed and race find an equal place. Decolonizing the Trinidadian Mind is a call for the people of this multi-ethnic, religious, cultural society to build bridges based on understanding, respect, and tolerance in forging a unified country. Ignorance, insularity, and isolationism are the nemesis of any progressive unified nation. Decolonizing the Trinidadian Mind offers insights and considers the influence of education as a powerful tool for social transformation by empowering individuals with the knowledge, skills, and critical thinking competence to advocate for positive change. The ethnic composition of the people of Trinidad and Tobago is as a consequence of our legacy of slavery and immigration. The abolition of slavery in 1838 and the commencement of schemes of immigration spanning from 1845 to 1917 resulted in the emergence of a new laboring class of people and the commencement of what we called back then the ward school system of education under the then governor, Lord Harris, in 1846. Those of us who recognize our history will know that that then governor was very famous for his statement that a race has been freed, but a society has not been formed. And he showed that education needed to play a critical role in the formation of society of different groups that inhabited the island. The level of education offered to the different groups from the religious bodies were not enough at that point in time, therefore leading to the implementation and construction of several ward schools as we would have known it back from 1846 and onwards. Concomitantly, the evolution of various denominational boards of education and formidable organizations such as the Catholic Board of Education, the Presbyterian Board of Education, the Mahasabha Board of Education, Astra Board of Education, and so many other denominational boards of education. They recognize that a literate and empowered society could only be possible through education. I serve on the Mahasabha Board of Education, and I serve as a principal in one of their schools. And one of the things that I will tell you is at the dawn of independence in 1962 in Trinidad and Tobago, many East Indians were still reluctant to send their children to school. One of the reasons for that, they had the concept and the culture of a domesticated role for their daughters, that's one, but also the fear of what this would entail, what would education entail. And so the SDMS organization, the SDMS, I wouldn't say board, there was not a board at that time, but the organization, they decided to bring the schools to the children. And they started with the rural communities. So you have the Debe community, you have Rio Claro, and all of the other rural communities where you find these schools are now established, and they have become a force to be reckoned with because of the culture, the ethos, and the values that they impart in those schools. So it was a matter of having the vision back then under the late Bade Segan Maraj and bringing the schools into the community so that there would be that confidence that they would let go of their children and send them to school so that they could be educated. And so followed the pattern too with the Catholic Board as well as the Presbyterian Board. The Presbyterian missionaries was here under then Reverend Morton, and they started the whole Presbyterian Foundation, starting with the East Indian immigrants here in Trinidad and Tobago. And today, those schools dominate the whole spectrum of education in terms of Trinidad and Tobago, and we ask ourselves why. Now, education as the sole mechanism to poverty eradication and liberation needs to be understood, and it needs to, you hear it theoretically, but do we really internalize it? Do we internalize a mechanism to poverty eradication and to liberation? What does that mean? What does that mean to all of us? Is it just about skill set? Is it just about qualifications, the attainment of knowledge, and then there's no transferring of that in terms of our behaviors, our attitudes, and our dispositions, and the way we relate in this multicultural, multi-ethnic, multi-religious society of Trinidad and Tobago? In retrospect, we know that Trinidad has done exceptionally well in producing, via its education system, intelligent, innovative citizens and professionals who have made an indelible mark on economic development, social mobility, and overall well-being, not just here in Trinidad and Tobago, regionally and internationally worldwide. Education has provided our women the opportunity to break glass ceilings and through self-determination overcome the invisible barriers that hinder their upward mobility and advancement. One of the things we also recognize is that coming out of East Indian indentureship, and the reluctance of East Indians to send their daughters to school, their children to school, but more so their daughters. The encouragement came not just from the missionaries, but also again from different boards of education. Today, women in Trinidad and Tobago dominate every facet and every profession possible. They have climbed, yes, that deserves a round of applause. They have climbed the ladder that now we see an inequity in education where there's an underachievement by males and girls are dominating every sphere possible, in every discipline, every subject discipline, every curriculum discipline, and so on. And that is remarkable. From girls who were taught that their role was supposed to be a domesticated one, that their roles were limited to the kitchen, to sewing, to craft, to housekeeping, and so on. They have now actually have reversal of roles taking place where they actually are leaders, they are professionals, they are leading every career possible that you can find. And one of the things as a principal of a girls' secondary school that I recognize is the cultural barriers that still, even up till today, prevent some parents from encouraging their daughters to go further. And that is something that we have to work with. I know from experience, I've always been in an all-girls school. I started off my career at Astor Girls in San Fernando, and then I moved along the ranks to only in female schools. And one of the things I would tell you is that we tell parents, do not stifle your daughters. Give them every opportunity possible to shine. And once you give them the opportunity, they do so in a way that parents can't even begin to understand. And I also tell parents all the time is that we need to change our mindset where our daughters is concerned. You give them opportunities, but you give them within the remit of the values that you are raising them with. And that is a powerful conversation that will continue to permeate into the home and to allow parents to raise very strong and independent women. And one thing that is understood is that education is an extremely powerful and transformative tool. As people of a rich diversity, our legacy has shaped our culture and identity. However, we have the power and the opportunity to chart our own trajectory through the education and many other mechanisms that we have in place. Education serves as a transformative tool, yes, offering people the agency to shape their own paths and redefine possibilities. Combined with other mechanisms such as access to technology, supportive communities, or personal resilience, it creates a strong foundation for growth and change. We must focus on the transformative power of education, not in the theoretical sense for the purpose of qualifications only, but as a tool for the removal of ignorance, intolerance, hatred, and division. And sadly, in Trinidad and Tobago, we cannot bury our heads. Our reality is reflected in the number of murders that we have daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly. Environmental neglect, poor healthcare system, polarization and division where citizens vote on race and not on issues. These are all indicators that we are not embracing the transformative power of education, and it has to stop. We can't teach our children one thing in the schools and they walk out with a qualification and then it's forgotten afterwards. Education has a profound power to illuminate the unknown, bridge divides, and foster unity. By understanding the diverse perspective, histories, and cultures, we dismantle ignorance, dissolve the barriers that create that division. It's not just about academic knowledge. Education is empathy, emotional intelligence, and critical thinking, which are all equally crucial in the way we treat each other and in the way we respect each other. When people learn to question biases, appreciate differences, and seek common grounds, it can transform societies. And when we see beyond our legacies of colonialism, we can have a very, very different society here in Trinidad and Tobago. Are there any specific ways you envision promoting this kind of education? Yes. Community programs, storytelling, like what Mr. Sankasing has here in his narratives, or even policy initiatives. And then the future of Trinidad and Tobago lies in all of these young people that I see here, who I hope will take up this mantle and utilize not just your skills and potential. I always tell students, you come out of school with 8 subjects, a scholarship, that counts for nothing if you are not a good human being filled with moral and character and could see your fellow man for an individual and a human being who is worth just as much as you are worth. In closing, I want to thank you, Mr. Sankasing, for the opportunity, and I look forward to seeing more discourses coming out of you. Good afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Maraj Ramjatan, for that insightful and for those insightful and inspiring words. In fact, I was now getting into the conversation and you finished. When Brian wrote Decolonizing the Trinidadian Mind, his goal was to help people understand how colonialism was used to divide Afro and Indo-Trinidadians. As part of this commitment, Brian has pledged that all proceeds from the book sales in Trinidad, now and forever, along with donations given today, because we do have a donation box outside with some small envelopes, so you could put your donation in the box, will be gifted to the Londonville Satyasai Primary School. And I must tell you a little of the Londonville Satyasai Primary School. It is a registered private school with the Ministry of Education. However, it is in the process of seeking government-assisted school status. It is a values-based school, and it's based in Londonville and Enterprise. That's where they get the children from the Londonville and Enterprise area. This school is growing into becoming a center of true educational development, where the innate human goodness in the hearts of the students and teachers are uncovered and brought forth to shine. As a foremost institution for values education, the ongoing work of the Satyasai primary schools aim at ultimately transforming a society in need through individual transformation. The school remains open to the support of community workers and well-wishers who value education of this nature and who thereby wish to contribute to this work. As a private school, Londonville Satyasai Primary operates without charging tuition fees to parents. It's a free school. The costs of education are largely subsidized by the Sri Satyasai International Organization of Trinidad and Tobago, in keeping with the Sai philosophy of free quality education. This approach continues to positively serve the communities of the school, since many students cannot afford to pay school fees. Students practice cleaning their classroom at the close of each school day, reflecting service to the environment. Students and staff undertake a termly service activity such as preparation and distribution of meals and food hampers to the needy. Another example of love through service. Events and activities are always value themed, in line with the school community values in daily life. Examples of such events include the values-themed carnival, jump up, and the walk for values, fixing Trinidad and Tobago one step at a time. So I could go on and on about this school because I'm closely connected with school, but nevertheless, here to represent and to accept later on this contribution to the school, Mr. Raul Hiralal, he is the principal of the Londonville Satyasai Primary School, who is with us today. Principal Hiralal has dedicated the past 16 years to the field of education and is currently a PhD candidate at the University of the West Indies, conducting research on character education programs in Trinidad and Tobago. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Raul Hiralal.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Londonville Satyasai Primary School, I'm very pleased to extend congratulations to Mr. Brian Sankasing on the launch of this book, Decolonizing the Trinidadian Mind. At one place, Mr. Sankasing writes that, quote, "It's time for us to put the past behind us and come together in unity and love. That this is a history book about unity and love." It is for this reason that as the Londonville Satyasai Primary School, we are particularly grateful to be associated with this project, as it is a true reflection of the tenets that underpin our approach to education. The development of positive, universal, secular values, and so expressing in practice eternal principles like unity and love among our fellow men. We are especially thankful that Mr. Sankasing has decided to take proceeds from this book and support the ongoing work of the educational project that is this Londonville Satyasai Primary School. This contribution is a testament of our mission of practicing love through service. The LSSPS is perhaps, yes, this is perhaps a biased statement, but it is perhaps one of the most unique educational experiences in Trinidad and Tobago. It is a real example of faith and belief in the value of good work. Established in 2016 with one pupil, the school has now grown to be a full complement of primary school classes of approximately 130 children. In the truest sense of the term, Londonville Satyasai Primary is a community school. Though currently registered private, as Mr. Mohip expressed with the Ministry of Education, it is one that also successfully prepares pupils for the secondary entrance assessment, the SCA examination. This school offers education to pupils free of charge. And the question that we often get is how we sustain this work. And the answer, as was shared earlier, is something that I had found to be both incredulous and simple. And to be quite honest with you, I didn't know that it worked like that until I accepted the position and I sat in the office for the first time. And then I asked myself, what did I get into? But that is essentially how the Londonville Satyasai Primary School has kept its operations going since that time to present. While our model of operation is quite unique, what the school and schools like it around the world offer is a concentrated focus on values education. Our school's founder described character as the most precious gift of education. He added that true education is not for mere living, but for a fuller and a more meaningful life, virtue being the sign of the educated person. The Education in Human Values, or EHV program, is a structured curriculum that is applied in all of our Satyasai schools, through which universal, secular human values of love, truth, peace, right conduct, and nonviolence are uncovered. Not taught, but uncovered. Through a direct approach of values lessons, people explore these esoteric ideas that are enshrined in character development to gain a cognitive and at least an intellectual understanding of virtue. But more importantly, through the indirect approach, the school provides various opportunities for values in action. Every school event, Carnival, Eid, Diwali, Christmas, Walk for Values, sports, our school's termly service activity. 2 days ago, we came from a visit to our senior citizens' home, just 2 streets away from us. Every project, every assignment, elements of free play, interaction with schoolmates, approaches to discipline, communication with stakeholders. There is in all of these a really deliberate, focused effort to infuse values in the practice of how we think, how we speak, how we act. So our school then becomes a true practice ground for character development. The Landaville Satisai Primary offers this education to a catchment of communities, many of which are of lower socioeconomic status and, as is often the case, challenged by issues of crime and unemployment. And it is in this kind of context that this values-focused primary school exists. To these homes, in this catchment, pupils take the values that they learn and practice them, and according to their parents, improve their relationships with those around them, even reminding their parents often about good character. The Landaville Satisai Primary doesn't subscribe to a single religious denomination or religious sect. Through the values of its character education program, it emphasizes unity in diversity and unity of faiths, teaching pupils equally about the major faiths in Trinidad and Tobago, celebrating the various festivals that make us uniquely Trinbagonian, and so fostering the development of an identity that is really universal in its outlook. Therefore, there's a shared ethos of our philosophy and what Mr. Sankasing describes as a call to action, a plea for Trinidadians to move beyond divides and embrace a shared future. As an educational institution, it is also our wish that as a people, we prepare to confront these realities of our past, as Mr. Sankasing describes, navigate the present and build a nation united in purpose and possibility. Once more, on behalf of the children, the members of staff, the parents, and truly the community that surrounds Landaville Satisai Primary School, I congratulate you, Mr. Sankasing, on this momentous occasion, and I thank you immensely for the service that you'll offer to our education movement through this book. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hiralal, for your dedication to education and for ensuring that the next generation has access to knowledge that empowers and unites. Tonight, we are honored to witness a performance that embodies the rich cultural tapestry of Trinidad and Tobago. Sunanda Mohip began playing the national instrument of Trinidad and Tobago, the steel pan, at the young age of 7. She's a daughter of veteran musician Rana Mohip and renowned dancer Susan Mohip. With passion, skill, and boundless energy, Sunanda has captivated audiences both locally and internationally. Tonight she presents a unique blend of music, featuring Bollywood, soca, and chutney rhythms that reflects the harmony of our shared heritage. The music for this performance was recorded at Saragam Studios by Ajanish Mohip, who is her brother and who is also the leader of the Iron Rhythm section. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Sunanda Mohip. And now, the man of the hour, Brian Sankissing. Brian left Trinidad in the 1980s and migrated to Canada. He did not write his first book until he was 55 years old. His previous work, a 4-book series on African American enslavement, won the International Impact Book Award for Best Historical Fiction 2025. He also won the Canadian Choice Award for Best Author, Stouffville 2025. Decolonizing the Trinidadian Mind has held the #1 spot on Amazon Canada bestsellers list in the Trinidad and Tobago history category for the past 3 weeks. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome author and poet Brian Sankissing.
Thank you very much. I am amazed by the amount of people that are here that came out today to celebrate this. When I started writing this book, I actually knew the name of the book before I even started the first word. That name was in the back of my head and kept there. It was kept there for the entire writing of this book. So it is with the best of intentions that I say to you, there is a donation box outside. And that those books that you see, the Decolonizing the Trinidadian Mind books, after a donation is put into that box, one of them is yours to take. There's also pens as gifts that you can take. There are also bookmarks that you can take. What I ask is, if you do that, every single one of you tell somebody else, and tell that person to tell somebody else about this book. Because, as Dr. Miraj Ramjatan said, it's about education. We have to spread the word. We have to start the conversation. This is a shift in conversation. This is a shift from the conversation of me against you, you against me, just because of our race. We have to get rid of that. We have to raise the standard, raise the bar. And this can be a catalyst if we all commit to doing that one thing. Tell somebody about it. I want you to know, as you've seen, this is a family affair. A lot of family are here. And so I want to be really thankful for that, because it is that Friends and Family Foundation that has actually helped me. People ask me, how do you find time from working to do all of this writing? Well, it's friends and family and their encouragement, their support. And this is my way of giving back. So I want to read a little bit of this book, just to get your own palates wet. This is from the chapter that is called Shadism, the Legacy of Slavery. Shadism is an ism that is very unique, because it's one of the strangest. Black, brown, sometimes fair, dark. It's really strange. When I left Trinidad to go to Canada, spent 5 years, came back to visit, and people were telling me about black people and brown people not liking to talk to each other, or still there's that racism. I had to say to them, outside of Trinidad, there is no brown and black. There is black and there's white. And black has to fight for everything. So why are we fighting amongst ourselves again? Anyways, I'm going to just read a part of this chapter. Undoubtedly, the legacy of slavery manifests differently across cultures and communities in Trinidad. The Afro-Trinidadian experience, with its deep roots in the trauma of enslavement, is undeniably distinct from the indentureship legacy of the East Indian community. Yet, in the crucible of our shared history, these two legacies are inextricably interwoven. Sadly, it is here that the colonial masters saw an opportunity to divide and rule. These seeds of division would lead to turbulent and tumultuous times. Unfortunately, divisiveness continues to haunt and split Trinidadian society to this day. Black against Indian reverberates throughout history. It is heard in children's rhymes. You probably are saying one of them, remembering one of them in your heads right now. It is seen in the ongoing struggle for social justice, the struggle for economic empowerment and cultural recognition, as we will see later, even crime and political corruption. The reclamation of the African heritage and identity has become a powerful force in Trinidadian music, art, literature, and even activism. It provides a vital counterpoint to the erasures and distortions of history that have sought to diminish the significance of the enslaved experience. However, the enduring impact of systemic racism, economic inequality, and social marginalization continues to cast a long shadow over the Trinidadian landscape. It constantly reminds us that the scars of slavery run deep, and they're not a mere historical memory. The racism perpetuated by the colonial masters between Africans and East Indians also continues to exist. This bizarre racism of color has had its proponents on each side of the racial divide. We do it to ourselves. When confronted with these challenges, we are called to reckon with the enduring legacy of slavery in all its forms and all its complexity. Because if you think indentured was not slavery, you would be wrong. We must, in turn, acknowledge the pain and suffering of our ancestors on both sides of the spectrum. It is only then that we can bring honor to their resilience and resistance in the face of unimaginable adversity shared by both black and brown. And I would be remiss if I didn't put a poem in here. I am a poet. So this poem is called Divide and Rule. He whispers, "You are much better than them." They were all born as slaves. As Indians, you are part of the realm. Those people, they don't even have names. In hushed tones, he says to the black man, "Indians feel they're better than you. They say you're worse than a caveman. Don't trust Muslim or Hindu." Now, as the blacks and the Indians fight, hate brewing heavily on both sides, much to the colonial master's delight, they're easier to rule if they divide. Oh, but my people, that time has long passed, yet still we hate as they taught us. Who would think that such a thing would last and would continue to haunt us? Please, for Trinidad, for a change in the conversation, I offer this book as a beginning. Thank you.
Mr. Sankar Singh. As we close this wonderful evening inside, before we go outside, it's important we extend our heartfelt thanks to the team of SAPA. Can we have a round of applause for the wonderful treatment we got from them? Archdish Mohip and the Qualitech Roaring Iron Rhythm Section. My wife was telling me it's iron, but it's iron. Anyway you go in Trinidad, it's iron. Anyhow you take it, it's iron, it's not iron. The Moko Jambis. Can we have it for the Moko Jambis, please? The SSL Susan Mohip Dance Company. Dr. Sharda Maharaj Ramjatan. Principal Rol Hiralal. Sunanda Mohip. Rana and Susan Mohip. Caterer Taran Sunarayan from What's Cooking. Videographer Shrishti Ramdas. Special thanks to the team of dedicated people who believed in this work and give of their time and talent to make tonight's possible. Andrea Raghunath Gopal, Taran Sunarayan, Ranan Susan Mohip, Jayashri Sankasingh, Vinti Mohip, and most humbly Srinivas Mohip. But most of all, Brian, thank you for sharing your words, your vision, and your unwavering commitment to truth and understanding. Decolonizing the Trinidadian Mind is more than just a book. It is a call to reflection, to conversation, and to action. Your ability to weave history and poetry together allows us not only to learn but to feel, to connect with the struggles and resilience of those who came before us. This evening has been a celebration of knowledge, culture, and unity. And it would not have been possible without your dedication to telling our story. On behalf of everyone here, we express our deepest gratitude for your work and for the generosity of your heart in ensuring that its impact reaches future generations. We wish you continued successes, and we look forward to the many more stories you have yet to tell. Ladies and gentlemen, please give another round of applause for Mr. Brian Sankasingh. So as we leave here and we go outside, light refreshments will be served. We have the books outside. We have the pen if you want to get it signed or you want to have any conversations with the author, or those of us who are budding authors want to have discussions. It's quite all right. I must say again, if it's possible and you can give a donation to the school, we'll be very, very thankful. And I must thank you all for being a very, very good audience. Thank you very much, and see you guys outside. Good night.